Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Sunday International Big Book Workshop. I'm Dan B, recovered alcoholic, sobriety date 1st of February 21. This workshop is facilitated by Kemble. The study relies on you listening, but please we pray that you have your big book in hand and follow along with a pen and pencil or highlighter. Make any notes you need and pause if you have to. Write down any questions and we'll take them at the end of the meeting. We will keep everybody muted during this workshop except for the facilitators. Any inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated and you will be removed by one of the co-hosts. This meeting is being recorded. The audio portion only is being recorded and only of the facilitators. The recordings will be shut down at the end of the class before taking any questions in order to preserve your anonymity. Have a great meeting, and how we open this meeting is with a step 3 prayer on page 63. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Amen. Thank you. So to you, Kemble.
Okay, thank you, Dan, for opening up, and welcome everybody to the Keystone Sunday International Big Book meeting. My name is Kemble. I am a recovered alcoholic. So welcome anybody that's new, maybe struggling, or anybody coming back. You know, we're going to continue a course of action today. Last week we touched on step 6 and 7, so today I'd like to touch on some points and highlights from steps 8 and 9. But we still, by now we should be done being relieved of the bondage of self. So now the big book goes on to say, now we need more action. Faith without works is dead. And then it tells us to let's look at steps 8 and 9. You notice it says, let's look at these steps. It didn't say we got to get down and work them down like a dog, but we're going to take a look at them and then we're going to take action on them. And I hope you got your highlighter and your pen. You may want to take a few notes. But anyway, Dan, if you will, you can read that first paragraph starting it. Now we need more action.
Yes, of course. Page 76, everybody, middle paragraph. Now we need more action, without which we find that faith without works is dead. Let's look at steps 8 and 9. We have a list of all persons we have harmed and to whom we are willing to make an amends. We made it when we took inventory. We subject ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal. Now we get out to our fellows and repair the damage done in the past. We attempt to sweep away the debris which has accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. If we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. Remember, it was agreed at the beginning we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol.
All right, thank you, Brother Dan. No doubt. But important, it says, remember that it was agreed at the beginning we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. Well, some people may wonder, well, how do we do that? Remember back in step 3, right? We made an attempt to gain our first conscious contact with God. And now in step 7, and plus we've relieved of the bondage of self by now. So now we can make progress. So in step 7, right, it goes on to say, God grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. So to do God's will, we know what God's will is for us today is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. That's step 12 action. But step 3, we start to get a conscious contact with God, and we expand and improve on that relationship with God by step 11. You know, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. So, you know, we made a list of persons that we had harmed. So we are willing to make amends to these people. Key word is being willing. And if we are not willing at the moment, we simply ask God to help us to become willing. This is what I had to do, and this is how the book directed me to do, you know, as I was being 12 step through this. Some people I didn't want to see because I wanted to kill a lot of them before I got recovery, right? So, but it was quite a shift and change. When I was being taken through the steps, when I got to this part, I had to rely on God, right? So I would have to take him with me. But then I had a shift, actually a psychic change, right? I can approach these people different today than I did when I was drinking. So I was very willing to make all the amends I could possibly make. And in talking about amends, you know, some of them, I got a list I'm gonna share so you can see it. Some of them we got that we can make right now. Some of them says later. Then we got some maybes on our list, and then we got some nevers on our list. But I'll get to that shortly. So, you know, we subjected ourselves to drastic self-appraisal. That's what we did in step 4, remember? In step 5, we went to God and to another human being. And at this point, we should begin to have had a spiritual experience. It worked for me, because I think my experience came at step 1, to be honest with you, when the desire to drink was removed, and I felt the presence of God in my life, and at some extent, I became God conscious. So, and then it goes on to say, but we attempted to sweep away the debris which has accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. So key thing, a self had to be removed at this point. There's no doubt about it, because self was blocking me from a contact or relationship with God. So here in this paragraph, you know, it's pretty much they're laying the groundwork for us in recovery. We have gone through steps 1, 2, and 3. In step 1, we saw the problem. Step 2, we found a solution to our problem. And then in step 3, we made a decision. And today, that's one of the best decisions I ever made, because I was trying to run the show, and that my show didn't run so very well, but it's much different today with God running my show, because I simply depend on him. I rely on him for everything. So, you know, that decision that I made, it was vital. And it's vital for all of us. When we make that decision, it's great. And the decision is based, you know, when we turn our will and lives over to the care of God as we understood him, it's based on steps 1 and 2. So then step 3, once we made this decision, was the first time that we began to develop a relationship with God in our lives. Thus, so we actually laid the spiritual foundation on which we are going to build for the rest of our lives. Now, you know, at this point in the book, we got the arts, the stones, right? We did the foundation stone back on page 12, and then we did page 25. There's the next stone, well, that's the foundation stone, where there is a solution. And then the cornerstone, we covered the cornerstone, which has been on page 47 on We Agnostics. And then we did the keystone, we covered the keystone, which is on page 62 of our big book. So now, and then the other stone is the pathway. This is the steps 4 through 9, which we are dealing with today, freedom through action. So after step 5, we carefully read the first 5 proposals, and we asked ourselves if we have omitted anything. But we are building an arch through which we shall walk a free man at last. And remember, there are several questions. Is our work solid so far? That's one question. Are the stones properly in place? That's another. Have we skimped on the cement put into the foundation? Another one. And we tried to make mortar without sin. Well, if we know we try to make mortar without sin, it's not going to be a good structure, because it's simply going to crumble. Just like our spiritual life, it'll crumble without progress, because we claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. And that's the beautiful part of it. Hold on. Let's see if I can get this bomber off of him. Let's see. Can you get him out of there? You got him. Yeah. Bombers, I tell you, they probably need to be in the program because they got a life problem. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah. So now about our condition, you know, we all suffer from a human condition as well. So in this human condition, it comes from the inside out. When we were crushed with being alcoholic, It came from the inside. The first part, you know, is the mind. The problem of the alcoholic is sinners, it is mind. So that's from the inside. And then when we developed an allergy to alcohol, that comes from the inside. When we put a drink in, we develop the phenomenon of craving. It activates this allergy and we can't stop no matter how hard we try. So that's from the inside. But look, this program is going to give us a design for living to everything that we may face today. And it's a design for our lives. The big book says it's a design for living that really works, and also works in rough goings. It works in helping others. It works in every area of our life. So, and you know, our book talks about this throughout, and it really works. You know, just application of what we learned from this book. Let me share this though. The years I was struggling in and out the fellowship. See, people didn't 12-step me through this book. When I was 12-step, I could always see where I was at fault. And I realized self was the problem. Self simply blocked everybody out of my life. Only thing I cared about was alcohol, to be honest with you, because it came first. It came before God and the thought of God. But then as I look back on my past, God was with me there the whole time. He saved me from a whole bunch of stuff where I shouldn't even been here today. But, you know, so now we go out into a different view of life today. This part is dealing with our relationship with others, because we done gain a contact with God. So now we still got to deal with other people in our lives, you know. So the paragraph goes on to mention at the bottom of 76, it says, probably there are still some misgivings as we look over the list of business acquaintances and friends we have hurt. See, we hurt a lot of people. I know I did in my drinking career. So we may feel defiant about going to some of them on a spiritual basis. No doubt about it. We developed a spiritual way of living today, and some people are going to be really against us approaching them in a spiritual sense, right? Because some people are simply not spiritual because the whole world is infected with a spiritual malady. So some people look at us like, I don't want to hear nothing from you. But you know what we do? We simply go make this amend if possible, and then we do. If they don't have to accept it, that's totally up to them. But what we have done, we have cleaned our side of the street, and that's all we can do. And that's all that's expected of us. We tried. I mean, we did it. So, you know, I remember when I was making my amends, I didn't have much opposition, because be honest with you, when I moved back home 2 years ago, people that knew me all my drinking career, they knew how I was. They seen changes in me when I would come home and visit before I ever seen them. Somebody had to actually tell me, said, man, there's something different about you. I had no idea. I knew something had changed, but I didn't realize other people could see it. And then I realized the way I talk to people, the way I deal with people, is totally different than it was in my drinking career. So then at the top of page 77, it says our real purpose. You can go down to spiritual discoveries, and we'll pick it up right there.
Our real purpose. So did you say? Yeah. Cool. Top of page 77. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. It is seldom wise to approach an individual who still smarts for our injustice to him and announce that we have gone religious. In the prize ring, this would be called leading with the chin. Why lay ourselves open to being branded fanatics or religious bores? We may kill a future opportunity to carry a beneficial message, but our man is sure to be impressed with a sincere desire to set right the wrong. He is going to be more interested in a demonstration of goodwill than in our talk of spiritual discoveries.
Thank you, brother. He is going to be more interested in a demonstration of goodwill than in our talk of spiritual activities. We simply walk the walk at this point. So, you know, we're approaching these people. We don't want to just throw out all kind of religious stuff on them. No, I'm a religious person myself, a spiritual way of life. But the point is, different approach to these people today. So, once we get started, we can release all our guilt, all our fear. And now when we start to deal with other people, which is steps 89, we all have guilt and fear, which will cut us off from the sunlight of spirit, right? But steps 1 and 2 and 3 is we find all the blockages. Actually in step 4 and 5 is when we found these blockages and we release them. The book says half measures avail us nothing. If we're not willing to get rid of these blockages, in my personal experience, I had to ask God to remove the defects, the major defects that was blocking me off from a relationship with him. First defect was myself. So that was a big hurdle. That was a big, huge move on God's part when he removed myself from me. I'm still a human being. I still got the same body. I just have a new way of living, a new way of thinking, and it's just beautiful. So we agreed that we go all the way so we won't lose what we have done up to this point. So steps 89 is talking about a different dimension. The big book mentions about the 4th dimension of existence, but we have stages of dimensions. Yes, no doubt. My first stage was when the desire to drink was removed. That was a huge, a major discovery in my life. So we got to completely be rid of those things which are blocking us. But let me make it clear, God ain't gonna remove all our defects, because the ones that he removed, he gonna replace it with something better, as I shared last week. And he's replaced a whole lot of things in my life today that is better than the way I lived before. So some of these defects we may want to hang on to because some of them possibly going to be fun. We like hanging on to them, but if they're affecting our relationship with the power that's greater than us, we need to let it go, be willing to let it go. I constantly ask God to remove anything that's troubling me that may be blocking me from my relationship. And the relationship with God is expanding, as I say in step 11, and pages 85 through 88 is a great resource because then we have gained conscious contact with God. So we have a 24-hour day. It's called a daily reprieve. I had to rely on God in all areas of my life. They call it the step 11 pause. Now, when we agitated or doubtful or we start feeling resentment, we tried our best to pause. Now, we ain't gonna do it perfectly. Sometimes a word or two may come out of our mouth that we not in agreement with, and it's not good, but sometimes the pause come a little late, but still. We can stop though. If we just say something wrong, we simply make it right then and there. Then we can move on with our life. So no doubt about it. Now, a little bit more about these pages. So now, when it comes to being willing to make amends, I have to be done we have to do a really good step forward, and by the book. See, in the Keystone group, my sponsor, they taught me exactly about the book, how it was outlined in the book. But then we still may be saying some people have hurt us so badly, right? And as we have harmed them, I mean, we hurt them, and some people have hurt us just as bad. So we might say they had it coming. I don't think they deserve no amends, but the truth of the matter is we did something to them for them to hurt us. So we must be willing to make these amends. But if we cling on to something, it might cause us danger in the end. So we're going to find a few people like that. It's going to be difficult, even for us to become willing to make amends to these people at all. So you may think, so then I can't make no amends to this person, period. So, step 8 will block us off entirely from step 9 if we're not careful, right? We can't do a proper step 9 unless we do a proper step 8. Willingness is the key. So my sponsor explained all these things to me, man. And I followed his directions just as it is laid out in the book. And the list I showed you earlier, actually here on page 77, it says, we may kill a future opportunity to carry a beneficial message, but our man is sure to be impressed with the sincere desire to set the right wrong. So we simply want to get that wrong that we did to these people, regardless of what they did to us, and just try to make it right. And it says about the demonstration, it's gonna be more important in our walk instead of our talk. So we can talk all during day about making amends and doing this, but are we doing it? Did we really do it? Then when we make them, we simply, we through with it. We don't keep going back to this person again and again and again, continuously making amends to this one person. We do it at one time and it's out of our way. And then we won't be blocked from doing step 9. So, you know, that's a beautiful part of this thing. So here on page, bottom 77, I read this part of the says, under no condition do we criticize such a person or argue. Simply, we tell them that we will never get over drinking until we have done our utmost to straighten out the past. We are there to sweep off our side of the street, realizing that nothing is worthwhile can be accomplished until we do so. So never trying to tell him what he should do. So it'd be pretty wild going to make some amends and you tell this person what he needs to do. No, it's us that we need to focus on what we need to do. Clear this mess up. So his faults are not discussed, not whatsoever. We stick to our own. But here's an important note that was really important for me. It says, if our manner is calm, frank, and open, we will be gratified with the result. Notice the words calm, frank, and open. Open comes from being open-minded. We approach this person, well, I got to go in here, God, and do this thing just how you got it outlined for us in this book. Calm attitude, that means a whole lot. When a person, you approach a person, they see the calmness in you, they'll be willing to accept these amends, especially when you don't include them. So he looking at your faults. I done got over the things that you did to me, but then I realized why you hurt me is because I done already hurt you first. So it's nothing to do with them. We trying to get us in the clear and continue to build on our relationship with God. So we start in step 9. It says, you know, making direct amends. So when we're making these amends, we can look at it in 2 different ways. First, we can look at them direct, face to face. That's the best way we can make these amends, right? And when we make them face to face, there's no doubt about the result. We should get great results. I mean, I didn't have no problems, no feedback. People said, well, thank you for making these amends, and I see you different. Squash what happened. So, you know, I didn't discuss none of their faults because I wasn't there to talk about them. I was there to simply talk about me and you know, and then show them that that I choose a different way of life. I don't react to you like I used to in my drinking career. A whole different way of living and thinking. So thank God for that. So this thing really does work now. I mean, if it can work for a drunk like me, it can work for the whole world. I mean, because I was hard-headed. I was dishonest with people. I always thought I could do things on my own way. But my own way always kept me screwed up, and it kept everybody around me screwed up. So sometimes it's not easy, right? No doubt about it. But if we are willing to do what this book prescribes us to do, it can become easy. Because this book continuously reminds us, right? Self cannot overcome self. And we have to ask God's help to be willing to do these things. And I think we'll find the benefits so far outweigh whatever pain we're going to have in doing it. I experienced no pain in making these amends to people. Matter of fact, it was a delight. And it's all because of the recipe prescribed in this big book. So, but you know, there's many things that could come up when making these amends. But that's why we have so much in this book about step 9. It has paragraphs that deal with just about everything that could come up. So now we're going to talk about some past criminal offenses and how we handle those. This is page 78, you know, because we owe creditors, amends, we owe the courts amends. And in my experience, I'm still paying court fines from 10 years ago, right? So I had to make these things right by paying them once a month, like I agreed to do. And that's from years back when I wouldn't pay these people. I told the judge one time about 5 or 6 years ago, I said, Judge, you know about the reason I cannot pay? Because it take away from my alcohol money. So I simply ain't got the money to pay you today. I'm a sick person. Well, you know what? That judge let me leave that day out of that courtroom. Called me back about 3 years later and he said, I'll set up a payment plan for you, Ken. That was after I got sober though, right? So that made all the difference in the world. But it took a lot of balls. It took me a few drinks to go in there in the man courtroom there to tell him what I had to tell him. And he didn't lock me up. Even though one of the lawyers at the time, I smell alcohol. I said, well, shoot. I thought they were gonna lock me up, but they didn't. Anyway, that's past experience, so no doubt. Yeah, about these creditors here. Let me see, here we go. Then at the 78, halfway down the page where it says most alcoholics owe money.
Yeah,
Yeah, 78.
yeah, no problem. Middle of
Yeah.
page 78, everybody. Most alcoholics owe money. We do not dodge our creditors, telling them what we are trying to do. We make no bones about our drinking. They usually know it anyway, whether we think so or not. Nor are we afraid of disclosing our alcoholism on the theory it may cause financial harm. Approached in this way, the most ruthless creditor will sometimes surprise us. Arranging the best deal we can, we let these people know we are sorry. Our drinking has made us slow to pay. We must lose our fear of creditors no matter how far we have to go, for we are liable to drink if we are afraid to face them.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you, brother. No doubt about it. Now we consider these other people that are involved. Like I said, these old creditors, we have creditors. I know in my experience that when I used to get something on credit, I could never pay it back because it was took away from my drinking money. So I dodged these people. I wouldn't answer the phones. I wouldn't answer their letters. I wouldn't answer their emails or nothing. And I simply ended up blocking their numbers because I did not want to hear from these people. But when I got sober and got to this part, step 9 in the book, I had to get in contact with these people. I had to let them know that I'm going to make arrangements to pay them their money. So, it's easy to set up a monthly plan instead of them getting nothing, but they knew something was going on. So I had to get honest with these people. Well, the reason I ain't been able to pay your money because I'm an alcoholic. I am in recovery now. I have recovered from alcoholism. I simply want to sit right where I was wrong by not paying. So, and it worked out pretty well because most of them understand that something was going on anyway because you ain't paid them. So, but then to be able to get take God with me and talk to these people, they understood. Well, okay, yeah, we understand. We understand. Thank you for coming to be in touch with us. And then these people been getting their money ever since, because I dodged all kind of creditors in my drinking career. But to be able to face them, when I made my amends, it was quite a beautiful experience. I couldn't have did this alone, first of all. And the results probably wouldn't have came out as good as they did if I hadn't went to these people and made amends. They'd probably tried to get money out of my check or whatever they could do to get their money, but I never had that problem once I talked to them. So basically it's saying, telling them what we are trying to do. We make no bones about our drinking. They used to know it anyway, and that's so true. Well, it's whether we think so or not. Yeah, just you're not paying these people, they're gonna know something going on with us. Ain't no doubt, whether it be alcohol, drugs, or whatever it might be, they know something going on. So, and then like I shared, I wasn't afraid to disclose my alcoholism to these people on the theory that it may cause financial harm. So when I approached these people that I was dodging, it says, approaching this way, the most ruthless creditor will sometimes surprise us. No doubt about it. So in the same paragraph here on 78, it says, we must lose our fear of creditors no matter how far we have to go, but we are liable to drink if we are afraid to face them. Yes, no doubt. So we have to be willing to, fear is that the four-letter word. It touches every aspect of our life. But, we have to work through these fears. We have to ask God to remove these fears from us so we can muster up and go see these people, talk to them, clear it out. And then it mentions at the bottom of 7-8, perhaps we have committed a criminal offense which might land us in jail if it were known to the authorities. Well, if you made criminal offenses, when you go through your step 4 and 5, if you want to disclose them with your sponsor, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Make sure your anonymity is protected. And if you feel that it's something that needs to be reported, in my situation, I go report it myself because I need to get this off of me. Whether it causes them to lock me up or what, but that would be freeing me from the inside. I wouldn't want this kind of stuff bother me the rest of my life, knowing I done got away with something that done harmed somebody. No, I had to muster up and face the fact. That helped me in my recovery. I'm just sharing some of my experience through these various steps. So if it caused me jail or prison, I had to go. So one time I went to jail for saying something they had no business. So quite natural, I said, okay, yeah, I did it. But you didn't come get me to 3 years later, right? But I went on here and did what I had to do. But that's why I say I'm still paying now from 10 years ago. Still making amends by paying a certain amount of money every month. But but that's just part of life. So, but anyway, it goes on in dealing with others. The spouses really caught it. Our spouses and family caught the most heck from us for real. I had to come and make amends with my family. My wife, I had left my wife for 27 years. Did her wrong, did her terrible. Because I was an alcoholic, I didn't have a solution. I had no choice but to drink, drug, and act the darn fool. I couldn't stay at home when I drank. And it caused me to do all other kind of things that was not acceptable to God or her or another human being. It just wasn't acceptable. So 27 years later, I came home to make these direct amends. I simply had to clean off my side of the street. I did not discuss her faults. I didn't discuss other people. I simply told them what was going on with me and what I needed to do. I would not get over drinking unless I cleared this up with you face to face. Made amends to my church and everybody else that I hurt that I possibly could. Some of them I never, some of them I did. I can make amends to them. Some people I don't know where they're at, so I can't do to them. And that's why we have a separate list. The list that I showed you, we got the maybes. We got the ones we can do now. We got the maybes, we got the laters, and then we got the nevers. My sponsor had me put this on a whole separate list with 4 columns on it. You put your maybe, I got a copy of it though. But yeah, with 4 columns on it. We got the ones we can do now. Yeah, the laters, the maybes, and the nevers. So, and that really helped me sort out which ones I could do and which one I could not do. So here again, we consider the other people who will be involved, by talking to them. They're okay. We have to get their okay if it involves another person. But we don't want to approach nobody where it may cause danger in another person's relationship or whatever. Some amends that probably have to be put off. Say, an example, if I approach say a female I might have hurt years ago. Maybe she's happily married today. So I wouldn't want to step in there and cause any more harm by bringing up something that needed to be avoided in the first place. We simply don't want to cause no harm on other people when we make these amends. So, and sometimes it says, we may feel guilty about some of these things. So, and some people want to keep trying to make amends forever and ever. And stuff like that. But consideration for the other people that we approach. As long as it don't cause no harm, we can make these things. So another thing, okay, we got the jail part out of the way. Once again, on page 79, first full paragraph, it says, reminding ourselves that we have decided to go to any length to find a spiritual experience We ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. Here's that word ask, right? It says we ask. That means we can simply pray to God, the power that's greater than us, or whatever your power is. I know who mine is. Mine is God. I can take them on and pray to God, give me strength to do this, give me direction so I can do the right thing, no matter what the consequences may cause me. So, and that was important. I had to face the consequences. See, alcohol caused me a lot of consequences, but consequences didn't make me an alcoholic. But it did cause me to wreak havoc on everybody's lives. When I got miserable, restless, and discontented, I just wreaked havoc on people. I didn't care how you felt or nothing. I was all about hurt your butt, hurt your butt, hurt your butt. Thank God for this program. Totally different way of living today. So then it goes on to say, we may lose our position or reputation or face jail. But the important point is we are willing. We have to be. We must not shrink at anything. Once again, back in the Stones, remember that? Are we making mortar without saying? So if we're making mortar without saying, we are shrinking on something. So the book, it also asks us, have we omitted anything? So carefully looking back, got to make sure we don't shrink at anything, because if I leave something out personally, it will be a problem, no doubt about it. So then again, Dan, here's from on 79 where it says usually, however, about other people are involved.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
No problem.
if you will, you can finish that page, as a matter of
Finish
fact.
the page, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Middle of page 79. Usually, however, other people are involved. Therefore, we are not to be the hasty and foolish martyr who would needlessly sacrifice others to save himself from the alcoholic pit. A man we know had remarried. Because of resentment and drinking, he had not paid alimony to his first wife. She was furious. She went to court and got an order for his arrest. He had commenced our way of life and secured a position and was getting his head above water. It would have been impressive heroics if he had walked up to the judge and said, "Here I am." We thought he ought to be willing to do that if necessary, but if he were in jail, he could provide nothing for either family. We suggested he write his first wife admitting his faults and asking for forgiveness. He did, and also sent a small amount of money. He told her what he would try to do in the future. He said he was perfectly willing to go to jail if she insisted. Of course she did not, and the whole situation has long since been adjusted.
Okay, thank you, brother. Now, one thing here, a mistake we see a lot of people make, you know, in our zeal and encouragement is to have everybody like us. You know, we think people are going to automatically forgive us, but that's not true. Some people never forgive us, but you know, and they just don't accept our meaning. It's just the way it is, because they're human just like we are human. So sometimes we may tend to leave there feeling like, oh, they wouldn't accept my meaning. The bottom of them fell out. What am I going to do? No, pray to God. That's the best thing I found to do. So, but come to the realization that everybody, they didn't, a lot of people didn't suffer from alcoholism as we did, right? So they don't understand until we make the approach with our men. And, you know, we can, hey, we just there to clean up our side of the street. And I remember back on page 83, it says, as God's people, we stand on our own feet, on 2 feet. So we make our amends to the best of our ability. And if they don't want to accept our amends, we are at peace anyway. There's nothing we can do about it. All we can do is make our amends. No doubt about it. And here's a prime example here on page 79. This guy apparently was in the program, because talking about the man that remarried because of resentment and drinking. He did not pay no alimony to his first wife. Now, he's knowing he had paid his money. But he is a situation like me. I owed a lot of money when I recovered from alcoholism. but I still had to approach these people and pay all the money that was owed. So, of course, the wife was pissed off. But the book goes on to say he had commenced our way of life, had secured a position, and was getting his head above water. So he had accepted the plan outlined in his book. So he was in recovery. So he was making his amends. So the suggestion was what they told him, suggesting he write his first wife and admitting his faults and simply asking for forgiveness. He did, and then he was able to send a little bit of money once he got off the alcohol. So he said he was willing to go to jail if he had to, if she insisted, no doubt about it. But of course, she did not. Now that's how you make some amends. I had to make something like that as well when I was going through this process. And what happened for me, I owed some child support or some welfare from a long time ago. I'd been known about it, but it caught up with me. So what it did, my ex-wife, which is the wife that I remarried 2 years ago, she took us to court and told them people, I don't want to pay nothing. I want this stuff dismissed right now. And everything was dismissed, being willing to face. Because I was scared to go see them people. I said, them people gonna lock me up. But they said, I owe them a bunch of money, $27,000, $28,000. Wow, where did all this come from? Interest had been building up for years. I thought I was off this stuff, right? But I couldn't think. Alcoholism had my brain twisted. But anyway, God took care of that stuff. For me, just by having the knowledge of this program, and then to do these amends to these people. So I had to apologize to my wife, had to apologize to the courts and everything. And they let me walk out of there a free man. Everything is dismissed. So you don't owe the state of Alabama nothing, not a penny. Been free ever since from that. If I'd still been drinking, them folks would, I wouldn't even been in no court because I wouldn't have been sober long enough to go to no courtroom. But I thank God for his plan of action in this book. No doubt about it. Now, some people think making amends to ourselves is just as important as making amends to other people, right? But no, we know we hurt ourselves a lot, but the thing about ourselves, right? God will forgive us for the mistakes that we made in our life if we ask him. So if we don't stress out about, I need to forgive myself, well, we know what we were doing apparently until alcohol became a problem that we was in oblivion and didn't know what to do. But anyway, so I did, I'm gonna tell you, I did write a list down of forgiving myself, right? But that's really not book based. But and I think about it. If somebody else would have treated me bad as I treated myself when I was on alcohol, they would be told up. I'm gonna just tell you the truth. So, but I had to think about my problem, what I was doing to myself. So, but then the problem was self. That's why it took a power greater than me to solve my problem. I had to get out of this self-will. I had to stop thinking of self. Now I want to think about how I can help others, how I can be a maximum benefit to God and then other people. So, it's a process, beautiful process. Page 81, let me see. Here we go, the bottom of page 81. Yeah, it says, our design for living is not a one-way street. It is as good as for the wife as for the husband. No doubt about it. See, it works both ways. I caused my wife a lot of harm, y'all. And I was gone for 27 years due to alcoholism. I couldn't stay at home. I left my family. I left my wife, left my children. Well, now they all grown because I was gone 27 years. But God has a way of restoring things that he know that we want or need in our life. And he made it possible. It wasn't anything that I did. I'm gonna make that perfectly clear. It was all on him. And then on page 28, talks about this design for living again. It says at the second paragraph on page 28, it reads, we in turn sought the same escape with all the desperation of drowning men. What seemed at first a flimsy reed has proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given us. Or if you prefer, it is a design for living that really works. So true, it's a design for living that works. You know, the program is spiritual. The solution for our alcoholic problem is a spiritual experience, spiritual awakening, better known as a psychic change, revolutionary drastic proposals that will change. That's the solution. But you know, the big book also tells us simple but not easy. A price had to be paid, for it meant destruction of self-centeredness. And I must turn in all things to the Father of light, who presides over us all. Life does get better. You know, it has for me. We are all miracles of mental health in these rooms today. Because, you know, without Alcoholics Anonymous, man, I don't know where in the world I'd be at today. A lot of us probably don't know where we'd be at either. If we didn't have a solution, it'd be like in the old days. They simply put us to lock alcoholics up on an asylum ward, a psych ward, or wherever they can put them, dry them out for a few days. They come right back out and do the same thing over and over again. That was my experience. I've been in a lot of detox centers. I've been in a lot of psych ward. Only to get out a few days later, a week or two, and just do the same thing. And you know, and it's repeated over and over. And unless a person can experience an entire psychic change, there is very little hope of his recovery. There's no doubt about it. Man, thank God for this program. You probably hear me say that more than as much as I can. There's no doubt about it. So, here on page 82. Okay. Here we go, Dan. On page 82, you can start where it says, if we have no such complication, there's plenty we should do at home. And then to the end of the page, yeah.
Sorry, I muted myself. Sorry. If we have no,
yeah.
such complication, yeah, all the way down.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Page 82, middle paragraph. If we have no such complication, there is plenty we should do at home. Sometimes we hear an alcoholic say that the only thing he needs to do is to keep sober. Certainly, he must keep sober, for there will be no home if he doesn't. But he is yet a long way from making good to the wife or parents whom for years he has so shockingly treated. Passing all understanding is the patient mothers and wives have had with alcoholics. Had this not been, so many of us would have no homes today, would perhaps be dead. The alcoholic is like a tornado roaring his way through the lives of others. Hearts are broken. Sweet relationships are dead. Affections have been uprooted. Selfish and inconsiderate habits have kept the home in turmoil. We feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough. He is like the farmer who came up out of the cyclone cellar to find his home ruined. To his wife, he remarked, "Don't see anything wrong matter here, Ma. Ain't it grand the wind stopped blowing?"
Okay, thank you, brother. No doubt. I love these little couple of paragraphs. But you know, sometimes we hear an alcoholic say the only thing he needs to do is keep sober. That is, oh man, the lie detector determined that is a lie. Though. You need to do more than just keep sober. We have a design for living today. You know, once we work these steps, we had a spiritual awakening, but you know, our progress never stops. This must continue for a lifetime. We just only being sober, and we're not doing anything in our life to enhance our relationship with God or our relationship with other people, or something is wrong. No doubt about it. Then it goes on to say, the bottom paragraph is the alcoholic is like a tornado roaring his way through the lives of others. I had shared my little experience about me being a tornado. So we feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough. A man is very unthinking. And the reason I want to point that out, because back on page 35, talking about my man Jim, one of my buddies, I love the story of Jim. So You know, he was unthinking. So on page 35 in the last paragraph, it says, we told him what we knew of alcoholism and the answer we had found. He made a beginning. Step 1, step 2, step 3. His family was reassembled and he began to work as a salesman for the business he had lost through drinking. All went well for a time, right? But now, here's the point I want to get to. But he failed to enlarge his spiritual life. Failed to enlarge his spiritual life. See, this design for living that we've been given, it is spiritual. So we continue to grow in relationship with power and grow in being of benefit to God and to others, right? And then it says, to his consternation, he had found himself drunk half a dozen times in rapid succession. No doubt. See, failed to enhance his spiritual life, causing to drink again. And you know, that's normal reaction today for some people that's been in the program, and then they managed to go back out. I had a friend tell me last year, he just called and went back out. He said, Kim, I stopped praying, I stopped relying on power, gave up on the spiritual life. See, this program requires action and more action, right? We got action a lot of times in this big book. And then it mentions about faith. Faith without works is dead. So if we think just being sober enough, just being sober is enough, it seems like, personally, I would be still living in a delusion, you know, because my spiritual life is my relationship with God is the most important thing that goes on in my life today. You know, if not, I can put myself in danger. So I'm grateful for the daily reprieve, you know, better known. I call it, we have a stay of execution from another day of possibly dying an alcoholic death. You know, we got the two alternatives. One's to live on a spiritual basis, or the other one. We're doomed to an alcoholic death, no doubt. I want to share a little something funny here, because next week we're gonna finish the chapter next week, and we're gonna be doing it. The promises will be covered starting next week. So there's a couple of things that I like to have fun with, right? It is the way alcohol made us feel, right, before it turned against us. When I drank alcohol, I would know a new freedom and a new happiness. Yeah, alcohol took me where I wanted to be, but I was a happy camper. Boom, boom, boom. But it turned against me and destroyed my butt. And when I drank alcohol now, I would not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. When I drank alcohol, I would comprehend the word serenity and I knew peace, right? And I would know peace. I thought alcohol was my peace, and then it turned against me and it became my greatest enemy, something I could not overcome. And it made me into the type of person I did not want to be. So when I drank alcohol, no matter how far down the scale I had gone, I would see how my experience could benefit others, right? Here I am, a hopeless, helpless alcoholic. How can that experience help others? You know, they don't want nobody to be like me. So when I drank alcohol, the feeling of uselessness and self-pity would disappear. Yeah, when I was laying around in my self-pity, that alcohol simply take that self-pity away. Goodness, goodness, goodness. And just a few more things. I'll go back over some of these next week. But anyway, thanks everybody for being here. Happy Sunday again. And God bless. And we'll close the meeting. God bless. Thanks for being here. Okay, Brother Dan.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Campbell. I'm just going to press pause, stop on the